All right, Mr. Pratt, if you'll advance us, perfect. Thank you so much. Well, again, welcome again, APS students and parents. Tonight, we are thrilled to be here with Achieve Atlanta, one of our favorite partners in Atlanta Public Schools, to cover your next move, connecting college and career success. This session is all about how you can connect your college and career goals using available resources and best practices. We want to equip you and your students with the tools and knowledge to stay informed and make decisions about your future.
Oh, Dr. McKinney, I think you're muted.
Greetings. I want to make sure that I let you all know that you are appreciated for being here on this Tuesday night. We want to make sure that you and your student are ready for your next move as you prepare to make that next step from high school to college. We're here tonight to give you some information that you can use as you tread forward on that path. And I'm turning it over to Mr. Taylor Pratt. He is going to be our host and our innovator for tonight. He's going to be working with you to help you help you on that path to your next steps. He is one of our partners from Atlanta, Achieve Atlanta. He is a senior director and he is here to share a wealth of knowledge. And I hope you enjoy our presentation tonight.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I keep hearing people coming into the room, so I apologize if you're getting the same dings that I am. But that is a good thing because that means people are interested in joining us. So thank you, Dr. McKinney. Thank you, Mrs. Wilson, for the opportunity to partner with you all on this. Again, my name is Taylor Pratt. I'm the Senior Director for Career Supports at Achieve Atlanta, which I'll talk a bit more about in a moment. And just really am excited to be here with you to talk about how we can connect college and career goals for our students and support them in both those efforts. We are going to begin by doing a quick poll to find out who's in the room with us. So we're going to have a lot of these opportunities built into the webinar. And so you do not have to use an emoji to respond, but we do welcome that. Also, you can respond in the chat with text as well. But can you tell us, are you joining as a student? Are you joining as a parent? Are you joining as an educator or representing a different stakeholder group here? And so please respond in the chat with who you are and tell us what school you are representing. And I'll ask Mrs. Wilson and Dr. McKinney, feel free to kind of share what schools we're seeing and what stakeholders we're seeing with us tonight.
Well, one thing I love seeing tonight, Mr. Pratt, is we've got a lot of students and parents together. And as we shared at the beginning, that is the perfect partnership for this kind of event. But if your student is doing something different tonight, or if you are a student here and your parent wasn't able to make it, please know again, this is going to be a recorded session, so you will be able to share with them. But kudos to those of you who were able to be together, student and parent, for this important information.
Wonderful. Thank you. And continue adding those into the chat. Oh, go ahead, Dr. McKinney.
We have guests here from Douglas, North Atlanta, Maynard Jackson, Midtown, and Best Academy.
Beautiful. Well, I'll share. My son goes to Parkside Elementary School. I have three children, and the first one, the oldest, goes to Parkside. I also have a child at Barack Michelle Obama Academy. And so it really warms my heart to see the parents here tonight representing their children. So thank you all for being here and continue engaging like this in the chat. So, Achieve Atlanta, for those of you unfamiliar with Achieve Atlanta, we have a very ambitious vision, and that is Atlanta is a city where race and income no longer predict post-secondary success and upward mobility. Our mission is to help students access, afford, and earn post-secondary credentials. At Achieve Atlanta, we live out this vision and mission by providing a needs-based scholarship to Atlanta Public Schools seniors and partnering with Atlanta Public Schools and many other institutions and organizations to ensure our scholars receive the supports and the resources they need to enroll, to persist, and to earn a degree. Please feel free to scan the QR code displayed here to learn more about Achieve Atlanta and our impact. And just a quick tip for anyone here who is unfamiliar with using a QR code in this format, you can just open your camera app and point it at the code, and it'll take you straight to the information. And we'll be using QR codes throughout tonight's webinar, but we'll also be sending, as Mrs. Wilson mentioned, a follow-up email to all attendees with links to the resources we talk about tonight. So welcome everyone, and let's begin. So tonight we're going to be on a 45-minute roadmap to success. And there are going to be 4 stops along the way on this roadmap. The first is we're going to talk about Georgia's high demand careers, understanding the job market in Georgia and how it aligns with your interests and strengths. We're going to then go into a career deep dive, looking at one career and thinking more deeply about this. We're then going to move into a conversation on return on investment, which you might be hearing a lot now in language around college going, but really making smart decisions about education as it aligns to your career goals. And finally, we're going to talk about planning your next move. What are some key action steps for your senior year students? So let's get started on this journey together. Before we dive in, a few things, housekeeping things that I think Mrs. Wilson mentioned earlier, but I want to reiterate. Please use the chat. We want to hear your thoughts. We want to hear your questions. We want you to participate, and we'll be asking for your input. The recording for this and the resources will be sent via email to all of our attendees and those who registered. Please stay engaged for gift card eligibility. We have 3 gift cards at the end of the webinar tonight. And to be eligible, you have to engage in the chat during the webinar. And please take notes. You'll want to remember the websites we share, the ideas we share, so please remember to take some notes. So how are you, students, and it can be families, parents, how are you feeling about your career path? Please drop an emoji or response in the chat. Are you feeling confident about your career? Are you exploring? Are you unsure? Are you overwhelmed? All of these can be totally fine options, but we want to hear your thoughts. How are you feeling about your career path? And I'll ask Mrs. Wilson or Dr. McKinney to kind of share what they're seeing in the chat.
All right, I love seeing there's a student who's confident and the parent is feeling overwhelmed. So hopefully at the end of this evening, there'll be a little bit of that. But as would be expected, a lot of people are feeling a little bit overwhelmed or unsure. And as juniors, that is a very typical feeling to have for sure. But tonight's like this, where you are showing how proactive you are in joining things, are going to take care of a lot of that feeling of overwhelmed and unsureness.
Absolutely. Yeah, all of those are normal. And the reality is career paths are very windy. They're rarely linear. Opportunities come at times we don't expect them. And so we want to make sure you're prepared for when those opportunities do come. And so thank you all for sharing kind of how you're feeling about your career path right now. So we're going to do our first stop along this roadmap to success and talk about Georgia's high demand careers. And I just want to reiterate, we're starting at demand because it's really important to understand who and what will be the kind of careers we will be looking at when you all graduate high school and graduate college. And so I want to look at a very stark reality about Georgia's job market. We often hear about the value of college or post-secondary education and whether or not that's still worth it. But the data does tell us it is. So here's something that might surprise people here. By 2028, 75% or 3 out of every 4 jobs in Georgia will require education beyond high school. And that education can look very different. It could be a certificate program, an associate degree, a bachelor's degree, specialized training. So it's very inclusive when we talk about post-secondary education. We're not solely talking about a 4-year route. The point that we want to just reiterate is that high school alone won't get you where you need to go for most career paths. And I say most, not all, but most. And this isn't a Georgia trend either. By 2031, 72% of jobs nationwide will require post-secondary education or training. So whether you're planning to stay in Georgia or move elsewhere, you'll likely need some form of additional education or credentials. This is really, again, about recognizing that the economy has changed. We hear it all the time. It's in the news. And that most good paying jobs require credentials beyond a high school diploma. So the question isn't whether you need post-secondary education. The data makes that clear. The question really is what type of education or training is going to be right for your goals and will give you the best return on your investment. And that's what we're here to help you figure out. So what jobs are growing in Georgia? Well, the good news is you don't have to look beyond this slide for the answer. The Georgia Department of Labor has released and releases each year a list of Georgia's hot careers. And here you can see that list. And again, I know it's very small on your screen, but we have the QR code for you to access on your own. So I encourage all of you who are with us tonight to scan that QR code, pull up that career list. You might not have known it exists, but it is a great resource. Now, to make this list, careers have to have met 3 criteria. The first is they have to have fast job growth. Next, they have to have above average wages. And finally, and maybe most importantly, they have to have at least 100 annual openings. So this means real opportunity, not just a few jobs here or there, but actual pathways with good pay and growth potential.
You know what, Taylor, this is something we've started introducing students to as well. And as families look at it, they may be interested that the state of Georgia has started this year showing those also by region. So you can look at jobs specific to the Atlanta metro area regionally, and it is divided up by career cluster. So students may know that they're interested in health sciences, but not really know what those careers are within that. So it is a great tool, and our students are enjoying, even in middle school, taking a look at what those opportunities might look like moving.
Thank you, Ms. Wilson. I love that. So when you look at this list, there are 5 kind of key things to know when you're looking at it, right? So this list is going to call out the skills and abilities you may need for certain types of roles, the work activities that those roles may involve, the education that's going to be required, an annual wage, and also the annual opening. So there's a lot in this document that we want you really to explore. And you'll see here in the bottom left, I have a parent coaching tip. And so you'll see these throughout tonight's presentation as well. And really, it's just to help our parents that are with us tonight think about how they can use this information. So for this hot careers list, we really encourage you to review this list with your child, help them understand what's included, even talk about your own career as you look at it. Now, we just touched on some of the information offered in Georgia's hot careers list, but really I want to stress that there are a number of key considerations when you're thinking about your career, right? So demand and earnings, we kind of, often you want to start there because it's important to know what jobs are actually growing and what they pay is really relevant. And when we talk about earnings, we're not just talking about a number, but really it's earnings compared to the kind of lifestyle you want to live. So often students can imagine what kind of life they want. And so it's important to think about what earnings would support that life that you envision. But demand and earnings themselves are not alone are not enough. You need to ensure that you're matching that with your interests as well as your aptitude and your skills. So the sweet spot, ideally, is finding careers that have strong demand, good earning potential, and they align with what you enjoy and what you're good at. So the question is, and you can see at the bottom of the screen, how do you discover your interests and aptitudes? Well, that's where a career assessment like U-Science can come in. So U-Science, I'd like to introduce that to everyone, although many of our APS 11th graders have probably already taken this assessment at some point in their educational journey, even maybe in 8th grade. But U-Science is a comprehensive aptitude and interest assessment available to all of our APS students that will help students discover their natural aptitudes and interests, connect them to career matches, and use results to explore opportunities and build future plans. And I'll let Mrs. Wilson mention something about my backpack, but I do want to just mention that this is available through students through your My Backpack portal. And that's where you can actually take the assessment or access your results. I'll also note that U-Science is a lengthy assessment. I have taken it myself, and it does take some time. So in order to get a lot out of it, you do have to put in the time to doing that assessment well. And if you haven't taken it yet, no problem. You can still take the U-Science assessment through My Backpack. You can also use other free interest assessments on georgiafutures.org, which we'll be sharing a link to later tonight. And you can start without an assessment. You can list what you enjoy, what you're good at, careers you might be curious about, and then you can begin exploring the different paths and salaries associated with those careers. So for the parents, make sure your child, one, knows about UScience and can talk to you about it, but also they can access their results through My Backpack. You can log in together and you can look at those results together with them. Mrs. Wilson, anything to add?
Well, just a quick plug for UScience. If you're a student and you don't recall the last time you were in that platform, you would have started in sixth grade taking interest surveys, seventh grade taking aptitude surveys. And the platform also offers opportunities to search for scholarships. So it is a good place to have bookmarked as something that you're visiting routinely as students and parents. But if you didn't maybe take it as seriously in middle school and you'd like to retake that assessment, just because you have results doesn't mean that you can't retake the assessment and see, based on your current interest and aptitudes, what careers come up as possibilities.
Thank you so much. So I want to acknowledge, as Mrs. Wilson mentioned, the UScience results. They are lengthy and can be overwhelming to look at times. There's a lot of data there and a lot of information to unpack, which is why I'm very excited to share that UScience has recently developed a student one-pager. And this one-pager can give you a clear snapshot of your results. And so you can see an example on the screen here. And it can give you a summary of not just your aptitudes, but also your interest, top industries, even ways to describe yourself to others. So it's a great resource. I put an information on the right side here on how you can actually access that one-page summary. There's also going to be a link shared in our follow-up email that will take you to a tutorial video that will walk you through how to find that. So again, if you have taken UScience and you want to go see your results, I really encourage you students to look at the one-page summary. You can even share that with counselors and others that you work with for feedback from them. So this is a very helpful tool to really unpack what UScience is offering you. For our parents, just really ensuring your child can access the results. Make sure that they have access, and if they don't, they're talking to somebody at their school on how to get that. So let's talk
Right, let
about
me stop you
how.
for just a second because we have a
Sure,
great question in the chat, and
absolutely.
that is, are there only science-related careers in UScience? And UScience has that name, and that is a question that students often ask. No, it has all of the 13 career clusters are represented. I'm not sure exactly how they got the name UScience, but never fear, there are jobs available within all areas. So thank you.
Yes, I like to think of it, and this may be incorrect, but I like to think of it as the science of you. So they're looking at what makes you you, and giving you insight to yourself that you may not realize or know. Um, so we mentioned four key pieces, right? So we have demand, earnings, interests, and aptitudes. How do you put all of this together? I think that is the key, one of the key takeaways tonight. So in the blue, you see business management and administration. This is a top career cluster for our APS 11th graders based off interest and aptitude. So I just want to emphasize that based off of all the 11th graders who have UScience results, one of the top career clusters in Atlanta Public Schools for 11th graders is business management and administration. So if we cross-reference that career cluster with what is available in the Georgia's Hot Careers list, we can see a number of matches. So careers that would fit inside that career cluster, and I've listed four of those here. So you can see a general and operations manager, a market research analyst and marketing specialist, a management analyst, and a human resource specialist. And you can see the number of openings they have according to the chart, as well as the annual wage. So it's really, again, important to think about how you can align all of these. Now, if you're looking at your UScience results and you're saying, well, that's not one of my top career interests or aptitudes, that is totally fine. You can do the exact same thing. You can take your interests and aptitudes and you can look back at the high demand career list and you can find those that align. And a helpful tip I will share is here's an area to really utilize AI if you need to. If you're uncertain as to what careers listed in the hot careers chart align with your career interest, let AI be a friend there to help you identify those. It's a great use of that tool. So I've highlighted here the general and operations manager. It's a high demand career. It's got high pay. So we're going to use this career to walk into our deep dive section in just a moment. But first, I want to hear again from our audience, everyone here tonight, what matters the most to you when you think about your career? Are you most interested in the demand, whether jobs are going to actually exist, the earnings potential, the money you can make, your interests, what you enjoy and what you're passionate about, your aptitude, your skills, what you're naturally good at? What matters the most to you? If you're a parent, what matters the most to you? Feel free to weigh in from your perspective as well. I'm going to give you a moment to respond and see if Mrs. Wilson has any insights that she can share from the responses.
Just like myself, a lot of students are interested in earnings. I see a lot of also participants who, they really want to make sure that the jobs that they have in the future aligns with their interests. A few wanted to make sure that it is challenging work that is aligned with their aptitudes.
I
Thanks
love
for
it.
that participation.
I love it. And the reality is all of these matter, right? So it's about finding the right balance for you. Dr. McKinney?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
So, I think that this is a good insight and good step because again, I like the fact that they're actually trying to align it to interest because if you do something that you like, it's not work. That's what they say.
I love it. That's very true. Well, I'll before I go into the career deep dive, my wish is for everyone in this call today to find the right balance for themselves when it comes to these four things. I know some of these may be more pressing at certain times than others, but it really is about understanding all of these about what you need and what you want, and again, what will align with the lifestyle that you want and the happiness you're seeking. So, transitioning over to our deep dive into the general and operations manager career, which is not my career. So I am going to be sharing research just like you can do about any career you're interested in. This career, again, is aligned to all four of our key considerations: demand, earnings, interest, and aptitude for many of our APS juniors, including, I'm sure, some on the call tonight. Before we find out more about the career, I want to kind of emphasize a couple of resources that are available to you, which we're using to pull information from. And so Georgia Futures, which is a free resource that I believe most students already are aware of or will become aware of, especially their senior year. And My Next Move, which is actually linked to Georgia Futures, and so they work together, are both great career exploration resources. You can see some of what's offered here on the screen for both of those. For parents, I would encourage you to build familiarity with these resources and all they offer because they are very substantive and very helpful. And you have QR codes available right there, so you can scan that. Again, these will be included in our follow-up email as resources that you can use. But these resources were used to do the steps I'm going to take you through about how would you do a deep dive into a career. So you've identified that career that's aligned to your interests and your skills. It's high demand. It's got good earnings. How do you understand that career better? Well, step one is to understand what you're going to do day to day in that work. And so all of this information here was from My Next Move. And so I'm not going to read through everything you see here. What I want to really emphasize is that My Next Move will tell you about what people in that career do. They'll give you an idea of the day-to-day tasks. They'll give you an idea of the work environment they work in and the skills that matter, which might be very helpful as you think about your U Science results and see some of these skills there as well. It's really helpful to think about the skills you'll be utilizing, especially for those of you who said, I want to do something that matches my aptitude. This might be where you really lean in and look for skills that you enjoy and that you are good at. Step two, when you're doing this deep dive, is to determine the education requirements and understand that career path. So again, not to go too deep into this, but it's really important to understand that most of the careers you see in the high demand chart or that you see in U Science, they have progression in them. And that often you enter into an entry level role and are able to move up over the years. And so you can kind of see for this career, you might enter as a coordinator or an analyst. And this at this level, you might be learning the ropes, supporting more senior team members, building foundational skills. But if you are successful in doing that, you may move into a mid-level role, like an assistant operations manager or a department manager, where you would take on more responsibility, manage projects, even supervise small teams. And again, if you're continuing on that path and continuing to be successful, you might even advance into a senior level role where it's an operations manager or a director position. And this really involves making those strategic decisions and managing larger teams to drive organizational results. So it's really important to understand this progression to help you see kind of where you're headed, not just where you're starting. A tip here for our parents is to sit down with your child and map out a career together. What does it look like for that career? What does entry level look like for that career? Because sometimes we have dreams of entering a career and we see the senior level role and we are unaware of the years it may take to get to that role, but that should not dissuade us from following that career path. It's really important just to understand that. Also, the education requirements is, I want to make sure I emphasize these. For this career, and this information is also available, a bachelor's degree is often required. And so that does not mean every single person in this role has that, but most often a bachelor's degree will be required, especially to move up into those higher level roles in this type of career path. The step three is to really find your program. So you know your career, you know what they do, you understand the progression. So what will you study after high school in order to reach that career, right? What do you need to study? So My Next Move provides a list of majors that you would study aligned to your career. And so for the career we're looking at, these are the majors that would be aligned to that business administration and management role. So it's important to kind of understand the majors as well, because it will help you do some research down the road, and I'll kind of talk more about that. Also, on the right side, we're going to be using these institutions for our next deep dive. And so the top institutions for Atlanta Public School students based on enrollment, and this comes from, I think, 2023, are Georgia State University, Kennesaw State University, Albany State University, and University of Georgia. And so we're going to look at how you would compare these institutions that offer the major listed here, business administration and management, and understand kind of how you compare different opportunities for you. So for parents, it's really important. This gets a bit complicated. So research the programs together and the institutions together. So once you've identified that career, understand what type of majors align, and then what are the institutions that offer these majors? Not every institution has every major. And so it's really important to spend time doing that research. So once you've identified all of that, it's important then to move to our next stop on this journey tonight, and that is return on investment. This is a common kind of language that's used right now when we talk about going to college or education, but essentially it's really about what you're getting out for what you're putting in. And so some considerations for return on investment, you can see kind of the scale here. When it comes to what you put into your education, right? You have student loan debt, you have living expenses, the time it takes to graduate, tuition and fees. But what you get out are the things you have to consider as well, right? Career earnings, job opportunities, starting salary, career satisfaction. It's an important statistic to realize over here I have that the median bachelor's degree offers a 12.5% return on investment, which is higher than most stock market returns. So again, back to the value of post-secondary education, not just four-year, but any type of post-secondary education. It's really important to understand what the data is telling us, and it's telling us that it's very, very valuable. but you should be considering your investment when you consider the return you're getting. All right, so let's take a look at what this looks like across the 4 institutions where Atlanta Public School students enroll most often, with the major of business administration and management. Okay, so I'm going to walk through this information with you because, again, it gets a bit tricky. So if you have identified your major and you have found schools that have that major, you can use the U.S. Department of Education's college scorecard, which is a QR code linked here, to understand and compare each of the institutions offering your major. So again, for our example, we are majoring in business administration and management. We are looking at the institutions where Atlanta Public School students enroll most often that have that degree or that program. And what you see displayed here for each of those institutions are the median earnings of the graduates, the debt that they have. And so it's important just to look at that and consider that. Now, there are a lot of factors also to consider as you look at institutions and you begin thinking about which institution's best for you. I have those on the side here, and I'll name them because they're very important, because those factors play into which of these 4 schools, if you had all 4 as an option, you might go to. So cost, a huge factor, right? And that includes scholarships and other ways, financial aid you might be paying for college. Graduation rate. Are students who enter those institutions graduating at high rates? First year retention, are students coming back who enter those institutions for their second year? Campus diversity, what kind of environment and belonging do those campuses create, those institutions create? And maybe most importantly, as you consider where you're going to go, what is the acceptance rate? How selective are the institutions? And that really goes into what is your grade point average and all the other factors that will weigh into where you can go into college. But what I want to really emphasize, it does not matter how selective, whatever institutions you are looking at, you can use College Scorecard to compare the earnings of those who have graduated from those institutions based off specific programs and majors that you're interested in. So this is a tool that I wish I would have had when I was in high school, considering what college I was going to go to. I had no idea you could find out this type of information about how graduates from those institutions are actually faring, and that would have been so helpful to me. And so I'll just share the parent tip for this is to really, again, this can get complicated. So sit down, review these options together, and talk to your child about what matters most to them when they're looking at different institutions.
And Mr. Pratt, if people are using their phones so they're not able to scan those, I put all of the links that you've been talking about in the chat so people can pull them up as we go along.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Wilson. I appreciate that. And so we're going to go back to a poll now. So we've talked about quite a few things so far tonight. But when it comes to making your post-secondary decision, right, you align to your career and your career interest and your aptitude and the earnings you want and the demand of the roles out there, and you've got to make a decision about post-secondary, what matters the most to you? The cost of attendance for that institution? That institution's graduation rate, is that what you're going to look at? Are you going to choose the institution that's graduating the most students? Are you going to look at the salary of those graduates? What are those graduates earning? Are you going to look at all of these things and make an informed decision that's inclusive of everything you see here? Please respond in the chat. Let us know what matters the most to you when it comes to your post-secondary education and what you really want.
This is the close to most unanimous voting we've had, with people being interested in all of those factors.
Very smart. And that's why College Scorecard is going to be a great tool for you, because it is going to give you all of that. And you can really leverage that tool to make that informed decision. Okay, so we're in our final stop for tonight. We're right on time. We may even have a little bit of time for any Q&A at the end. So we're going to talk about your next move. So what do you do with all this information? And again, you're getting all this information afterwards, so you do not need to remember it all, because I do know how any type of webinar or training works. You can only take in so much. And so we wanted to make sure you had some clear next steps as you 11th graders are going to get ready for your senior year. So during your senior year, how do you take both of this all this information and think about both college and career. So on the college side, you want to make sure that you are finalizing your college lists. That will allow you to use College Scorecard to look at those options. Georgia Match can also help here because Georgia Match is going to provide you with some information about what you may already have access to in Georgia when it comes to institutions. And so that's going to be helpful and will come out your senior year. You'll want to complete your college applications and stay on top of that, of course. Again, next is to complete the FAFSA. This is critical, even if you're not sure if you need to. We encourage everyone in Achieve Atlanta to complete the FAFSA because it gives you options, and options are key when it comes to your post-secondary and your career goals. We encourage you all to apply for scholarships, including the Achieve Atlanta Scholarship. So we encourage all of our APS seniors to apply for the scholarship, even if they're not sure if they'll be eligible, but apply for scholarships to help with the cost of college and to make your informed college decision. And really, that really can go across both of these because your informed college decision should be inclusive of your career planning. On the career side, we want you to gain experience in your field of interest. If you have an idea of what you want to do, begin getting experience because what we're learning is even for entry-level roles, experience is being required. And that does not need to be a full-time job. That could be volunteering. That could be part-time work. That could be anything that gives you some understanding of that work and something to talk to when you're applying for an internship or seeking to get employment. We want you to take courses aligned to your career interests. Dual enrollment, CTAE, those types of courses can be very helpful in really building some of that experience and learning more about a career that you may be interested in. There's also electives that you have at high school, and you'll be making decisions about what classes to take your senior year. So think about your career as you do that. We want you to start building your professional network. I cannot say this enough. The network is critical. And sometimes the students that we're working with in college may be waiting until they almost graduate college to begin building that. And what we want to encourage you to do is do not wait. You have access to professionals within your school, within your community. Begin building that network of professionals now who will be able to support you with your career goals. And finally, develop your work-ready skills. Many of our scholars at Achieve Atlanta are working part-time jobs. We encourage anyone who's working, even if it's not in a field that's aligned to what UScience says is their interest or aptitude, it's still providing you with the opportunity to build skills. Do not take that for granted. Build your skills, whether that's communication, collaboration, all of those things can be so helpful when it comes to your career path. So just remember that Achieve Atlanta and, of course, Mrs. Wilson, Dr. McKinney, your APS school counselors are here to support every step of the way. I will pass it over to either of them to share anything else they'd like to emphasize here.
I just want to share that at no time you or your student by yourself, you will have school counselors in your building that are going to help walk you through this. We're going to make sure that you know when that Achieve Atlanta scholarship is coming open and it's time to apply. And one of the things that we'll be providing in some of the things that we send with you in follow-up email is going to be a 12th grade checklist. You guys are a proactive group who are already thinking ahead, and so we wanted to give you a head start in seeing what some of those things are. And I'm seeing in the chat that there is a question about hints for resources for finding summer internships for 11th graders. And we'll also share out some things for summer. There is an upcoming summer, I want to call it a fair, but summer information session that's coming up through our Office of Family Engagement. So we'll be providing that to you as part of our follow-up to this session.
Awesome, thank you. Dr. McKinney, anything to add for you? Oh, you're muted.
Just want to thank you again for showing up tonight and taking time out to be here with us to learn more about your next path or your next step on this path. Again, parents and students, Just take your time, breathe. It may seem like a lot, but you got this. We're here to help you. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to your school counselors. They're there to help you along this way as well.
Awesome. Thank you.
I
Okay.
see one other quick follow-up in the
Sure.
chat, and someone mentioned community service. And as one of the graduation requirements for Atlanta Public Schools, students are expected to earn 75 hours of community service as part of that graduation requirement. And all of those things that our students are doing, they do give them that leg up and definitely show their commitment to their community, commitment to getting good grades and taking rigorous courses. So community service hours are definitely something that can be a benefit. They can also be leveraged to be not exactly an internship, but allowing students to have an opportunity to try out some things, because knowing what students don't want to do is just as important as learning what it is you want to do. So some of those CTA classes, those dual enrollment classes, can really help students also identify and weed out between multiple options, those things that are going to be a good match for them going forward. So great question.
Awesome. Love it. All right, we are going to move into, we have a couple minutes left. We're going to move into our giveaway time. We have three $50 Amazon gift cards we're going to be giving away randomly to those who have engaged with us in the chat tonight. So Dr. McKinney, I'll pass it over to you.
Okay, we're ready for our first winner, Rebecca Clark. Rebecca Clark, if you're in the chat, please give us a thumbs up to let us know that you're still here with us. Okay, we have Rebecca. Rebecca is going to be our first gift card winner, and this will be emailed to you based on the email address that you signed up with. Our next winner is, I hope I'm saying this right, Amisha Bachman. If you're here, give us a thumbs up.
Oh, I see that thumbs up.
Okay. Our last and final winner is Sharon Erickson. Sharon Erickson, if you're still with us, give us a thumbs up. And she's here. Okay, all three of our winners, we want to thank you for joining us tonight, and you will receive these gift cards via email in the next day or so. So please be on the lookout for your gift cards.
Thank you so much. And it may take, just in case, give it 1 week just to make sure